All right, I'd like to welcome you guys to this week's report. Here we are. It's going to be Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start to the summer fishing season. As we all know, it's already started months ago, but that's what people like to say. And the weather is going to cooperate for the most part. It's probably going to be June gloom here, or May gray, whatever it still is. But the wind doesn't look too bad. We've got a little bit of wind up at the northern Channel Islands at San Nick on Friday. Not horrible, but definitely breezy. And that backs off into Sunday and Monday. And by Monday, it looks just beautiful everywhere, as most of the day on Sunday. So I got a lot of stuff to cover, so let me head up to the map. All right, starting up at the Channel Islands. There's still some sea bass being caught up there. It's hit or miss. You know, some days they're getting them, other days they're not. Halibut seems to be more consistent. The majority of those fish are still being caught on the white fluke baits, like I always forget the name of the company. I think it's Redemption Swim Baits makes them. But that's accounting for a large amount of the bites they're getting from both sea bass and halibut up there. And, you know, that should, you know, continue to follow that lunar cycle. So coming in the next cycle here, we might see another pickup in sea bass. We'll have to wait and see how the weather is and everything else. There's also some calico bass biting up there. My friend Larry Heron had a trip over the weekend, and he had good bass fishing at Santa Cruz Island. But yeah, it's just status quo. Really good rock fishing up there too. Guys are loading up pretty much every trip when they want to go out and fish for them. And the nice thing up there is you don't have to fish nearly as deep as you do down here. Heading down to Nick and SBI, you know, nobody's really fishing Nick that I've heard of. I know a friend of mine went out there, I think last week on his private boat and had good rock fishing, but no sign of sea bass or yellowtail or anything. SBI, there's still sea bass biting there, but that's hit and miss as well. Some days they get them, some days they don't. There's a few halibut, you know, sheephead, all the other junk you catch at the dirt clod is still there to catch. You know, if you head over here in your skip, I can guarantee you're going to catch nothing, because that's the way that island works all the time. No matter how good it is, when you get over there on your own boat, it's not going to bite. So just take my advice. You know, just go throw $100 in the trash and save yourself the boat ride. Heading out to Clemente, there's actually some pretty good fishing at the island right now. They've had sea bass, yellows, halibut, bass, rock cod, everything's biting. Different times, different days. I know there were some good scores on sea bass earlier in the week. I guess that area kind of dried up. The water conditions got dirty out there and backed off. But the yellows are biting again on the backside where they were a few weeks ago. So that's those fish should stay around, and that fishing hopefully will improve. And those fish on the backside are nice fish, up to 30 pounds. Yellows, they're biting jigs, service iron, yo-yo iron, squid, whatever bait they have on the boat. And I haven't heard a lot about the bass fishing, but I imagine it's probably pretty good over there. Water's been warming up here, and I'm sure this weekend some of the bass guys will make the run across on. If you know, look at the weather on Sunday and Monday. It's looks like a good time to go. Catalina's not getting a whole lot of attention. They're still catching the occasional sea bass and halibut and bass and bonita biting. I saw that Jared, who runs the Gale Force, was over there today on Thursday morning. He had a nice sea bass. I think they were fishing with live squid somewhere on the backside, along with calicos and some halibut and stuff. So always an option for that. I know the bonita are probably biting on the front side east end. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks since I've been to Cap, but it was pretty good the last time I was there, so I would imagine it probably still is. Heading into the coast, bass fishing is not as good as it was in April, for numbers, for me anyway, but they're biting in a more fun way. And, you know, I don't really talk to you guys about this, but if you saw me at the PCS show this year, I was limping pretty badly, and I was actually scheduled to have a knee replacement surgery yesterday. But luckily, due to doing some physical therapy and exercising a lot and trying to get more active, I've actually got better to the point where I was able to cancel that and was able to fish. Took some time off last week because Matt was, I think I fished 5 out of 7 or 8 days. And thankfully my knee held up through it all. So I'm really hoping that I can get through this summer and either do it in the winter or hopefully push it down the road a couple more years if possible. And so instead of recuperating at home this weekend, I'm going to be going to Vegas to see Jimmy's band play at the punk rock bowling thing there downtown, which I'm pretty excited about doing. so I won't be fishing. Maybe I'll fish Monday. But anyway, so the bass bite, it's been different every day. Every single day it's different. You know, you drive all over the place and you find conditions, and you know, it's sometimes it's uphill, sometimes it's downhill, in, out. There's no rhyme or reason to it. The fish are in different depths, the fish are in different water color, water temperature. Really confused up there right now, but the one consistent thing is this little slug, MC 6-inch slug on that 7.0 Gamakatsu weighted keel hook has been on fire lately. And then, you know, 90% of our fish are being caught on us, almost, if not 100% on most trips. We're getting a few weedless fish. This is really all we want to throw. You know, we're fishing this on I got a little video I'll be showing you here in a second, but you know, we're throwing this on a super light rod, 9-foot, just absolute buggy whip, you know, 30-pound braid, 200 size reel, and these bass are just exploding out of the water on it. It's just such a fun way to catch them. And you know, last week I did a little tutorial video on how to fish bass in the kelp with weedless swim baits and this little slug here. So if you didn't catch it last week, I recommend going back to YouTube and looking for last week's report. That's all in there.
Oh, that's a moe. That's a big one. Yeah, that's a good one right there.
Okay, followers?
No. That's a good one. Oh, it's got giant, but
Nice one.
fucking gigantic. Blow up there. Ugh. Bigger than the rest of them.
Oh, there you go.
That's a big one. That is a big one.
That's a big one?
Boy, that's a big one. That's gonna be on video too. Here it comes.
You want the net?
Look at it, yeah, the net.
Oh, it's just fucking floating. It's very here.
I'll grab the leader. It's a nice one. Huh? Whoa.
Oh, you did good.
There you go. All right. That one completely came out of the water.
That's awesome.
Porpoise like this, Eric.
Nice.
Air jaws.
But yeah, you know, just the bass fishing should continue to improve. You know, the water temps are stabilizing, not swinging around at all. You know, it's been 63 to 65 at PEV all week. And I mean, we were having days where it was 64 and then 59 the next day a couple weeks ago. So that's, as that water stabilizes, those bass come up off the bottom and move out to the deeper kelp. And that's kind of what I'm seeing these last few trips. Our best fishing has been on the outside edge of the kelp, and you know, 50 feet of water as opposed to 20 or 30 feet of water. So getting to more of a summer standard pattern. In other bass news, you know, there's a lot of boats running twilight trips and having good sand bass fishing. Calicos too, I know. Boats out of Dana have been doing some coastal stuff. You know, what's cool is there's a charter boat down in Dana now that runs artificial only bass trips. It's like a 4-pack or 6-pack boat. And you know, if you guys want to get into trying this kind of stuff out, you don't have your own boat. I looked those guys up. I don't know what the name of the boat is. I probably should have looked at it before, but I just saw it right now. But they're out of Dana Harbor, Dana Wharf, and it's a really cool thing. You know, go out there. You don't need to use bait to catch these things, so why not just have some fun with it? Down in San Diego, they caught a couple of yellows on the half-day boat there over the weekend, and that's a good sign. Good-sized yellows too. So I'm hoping that's a sign of more fish being along the beach here. Who knows? Something that reminds me of is that I forgot to mention earlier. You know, we're coming into another El Nino here, and now they're indicating it's going to be a strong El Nino. I don't know how strong the El Nino is going to be exactly. I wouldn't go buy a bunch of wahoo trolling jigs for trolling around the oil islands just yet, but that's a good sign. I mean, that's going to really improve fishing, hopefully. And I don't know what it's going to do to the bluefin, but, you know, I'd like a little variety now and then myself. And, you know, get some offshore stuff happening. Maybe those yellows will come back like they did before. We'll have more yellowfin up here. Although one yellowfin was already caught on one of the overnight trips or day and a half trips earlier this week. So I think that was just a fluke. I don't think that's any volume that fish is up here yet. Probably just got confused, started swimming with bluefin. But yeah, so that El Nino is supposed to start peaking in the fall. So I don't know what it'll do for, you know, the season so much as it will for fall, next winter, next spring, and next summer. Hopefully, hopefully good things. So offshore fishing, you know, there's catching a lot of kelp patty yellows out there. Some are big, some are small. I saw Jeff Markland complaining about these 5-pound yellowtail he was catching, but I see other guys with actually some decent fish. And when you find them, they're biting. And one of the things I wanted to mention as well, sorry I'm scattered today, you know, I was talking to my friend Mitch, who runs the Blackfish, which is a little 6-pack boat out of Davies Locker, I think. It's I can't remember the size of it, but it's good, you know, good sized little sport fisher. And, you know, these guys that run this boat are sport boat guys and longtime friends. I've known Mitch since he was probably 15 years old. And I've got to say that, you know, the guy that ran sport boats exclusively up until a couple years ago and started running a few yachts on the side and stuff now has an operation that basically caters to open party trips or charters in a way that with a very experienced captain who fishes with a sonar and does a lot of things that the other, you know, 6-pack operations of this kind don't really do. But he also knows how to treat people with that experience as a private yacht captain. So, you know, for not much more money than you're spending on an overnight trip, you and 4 or 5 of your buddies can get on the boat like Blackjack, leave at 5 o'clock, or sorry, Blackfish, leave at like 5 o'clock in the morning, run to Clemente or the 43 or any of those places where these tuna are biting at 20-something knots in a luxury Cabo yacht, and have, you know, 2 crew members for every 3 passengers to, you know, make sure you got everything you need and taken care of. And you know, I often talk to Matt about the fact that if I didn't have a private boat, I really probably wouldn't fish sport boats anymore because I was just burned out on the whole sport boat experience. But it's nice to see that, you know, there's these boats available now that are catering to somebody that doesn't mind spending a few bucks extra to get there fast and in comfort and without a bunch of people. And so if you're looking to do something like that, I definitely highly recommend those guys and check them out. They, you know, one of the nice things is they know how to fish for everything, you know, from rockfish to tuna and, you know, everything in between. So that's just a little plug for my buddy there. But, you know, in other news, you know, the bluefin have really moved up into U.S. waters now. They're up behind Clemente. They're on Clemente Ridge. They're all over the place, but they're not really biting all that well during the day. You know, the boats are getting them at night. Few fish being caught during the day, fairly hit and miss. Mostly miss. Not a lot of surface activity, it seems like. And surface activity they're seeing is not really biting. I've been holding off on going because I don't want to drive around looking at fish that are 100 feet down because I won't be able to catch any on a surface lure. So now that they're close enough, I might actually take a look next week and see if there's anything worth casting at. Or I'm going to wait for a day that has a good slack or high or low tide, you know, like 11 a.m. or noon, and go out and take a look. I mean, eventually those things have to start biting normally. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. Everything else is the same as it was in previous years. Like they're just not, they just seem to be on a slightly different pattern this year, or a little bit later in their pattern. It might be because the water's colder. But we'll see. You know, one of the nice things to be going on a day and a half trip or 2-day trip that ends up fishing out near that 60-mile bank, I see those guys going out and loaded up on those really big rockfish out there after they're done tuna fishing. And I will say I'm a little bit jealous of that because I love those big reds. But yeah, you know, a lot of good things happening, a lot of fishing options. You got a 3-day weekend, hopefully. Spend some time with family. If you're going to do that Saturday when the wind's blowing. Go fishing Sunday or Monday. And I hope you guys all have a great kickoff to the summer, and good luck if you fish.